In this quick video, I'll show you how to fine-tune and evaluate a model based on Gemma free using the Datawizz platform. For our data here, we're going to use this data set from Hugging Face. It's basically a set of Yoda sentences. So the inputs are English sentences, and then the output, what we want our LM to be able to do is translate them in Yoda-speak. To get started, we'll go ahead and download this. So we'll go to the Files and Version section. We'll grab the CSV file and download it onto our computer. Now, we need the data to be formatted for Datawizz as inputs and outputs. So this will be the user message and then the assistant message from the LLM. It's almost formatted like we need it, but the columns are going to be here, sentence and translation. So we're going to go ahead and open this file. And once we have this file open here, I'm just going to go ahead and rename the columns input and output. So these are the columns that we're going to care about. We can leave this other one here. It doesn't matter. Once we have this set up, we can go back and create our Datawizz project. So here I'm in Datawizz. I'm going to create a new project. I'll call this Yoda for now. Create this project. And once inside the project, I'm going to go ahead and upload my dataset. So I'll go to the dataset section, create dataset, and I'll call this Yoda sentences. In my dataset, I'll choose the import CSV option. I'll choose the file that we gathered here. And then I'll enter a system message. So this will accompany the initial sentence and basically instruct the LLM what to do. So I'm going to write and click import. Now that we have all of our sentences here, we can actually go ahead and use them to train a model. But just before that, I'm actually going to create a split. So I'll put aside 10%, so 0.1 of our training data as testing data. We'll not use it for training, so we'll make sure that we can evaluate the model with data it did not see in training. Now that we have the split set up, we can go ahead and start model training. I'll go to the model section, click Create New Model. I'll call this my Yoda-speak model and base it on the Gemma 270 million parameter. We can go here to the dataset section and select our trained dataset. So this is the bigger dataset that we're using for training. We're not going to use the test dataset for this. We're going to keep it aside so that we can use it for a fair evaluation later. And then we're going to configure the trainer to use 10 epochs and all the other default parameters. I'm going to go ahead and start training. And then I'll pause the video here. This is going to take a couple of minutes to train, but I'll be back quickly to actually go ahead and evaluate that model as well. Coming back here, we can see that the model finished training. We can actually go ahead and look at the loss curve and see how it actually trained and learned our data, both for training and evaluation over time. We can also look at the logs. But most importantly, let's go ahead and actually test this model. First up, I'm going to deploy this model on Datawizz. So I'm going to choose Datawizz serverless, deploy the model, and this will just make sure that it's available on our servers for inference. Now, one thing that I can go ahead and do is play with that model or evaluate it manually. So head over to the providers section. I already have my OpenAI account connected. In that account, I can select some models that I want to connect to it. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy the GPT-4.1 model, and then the GPT-4.1 Mini model, and we can just use those as benchmark or comparisons points against the new model that we trained. And then back here with the Datawizz serverless, I'm going to do the same. So obviously we already deployed our newly trained model, so that is available, but I also want to deploy the base model. So I'm going to find the Gemma free 270 million model, the base untrained version. So I just want to make sure that the training that we did actually improved the model performance. Once we have all three of those, we can actually select them together. So I can actually go ahead and select all four of these models, click Compare Models, and then open this panel here where I can select one of our test rows. So I can actually go to the test data set that we created, select one of these rows, and then send it to simultaneously be executed by all four models. So this is a great way to initially get a sense of how our model is performing and see if we're actually happy or unhappy with the results. But Datawizz also let us go deeper and actually automatically evaluate that model across a larger data set. To do that, I can open the evaluation section, click New Evaluation, and I'll call this our Yoda Model Benchmark. Here we can select the models that we want to evaluate. So again, let's just select the 4 models that we have configured here. I'm going to go ahead and select the OpenAI GPT-4.1. I'll add OpenAI GPT-4.1 Mini, and then the Datawizz base version of Gemma free. And lastly, the model that we just fine-tuned, so the Yoda-speak model. For the data set or for the data that's going to be evaluated, I'm going to go ahead and select the test data set that we reserved. So again, these are 72 samples that the model did not see during training. So it should be the first time the model sees them and making this a fair evaluation. And here for the evaluation function, I'll go ahead and select our string equality case insensitive. So this is just a basic case insensitive string comparison. We can also look at something like word error rate just to get, again, a better, deeper sense of how these models are performing. And once we have those 2 functions selected, I'll click Start Evaluation to actually start evaluating this model. This will, again, take a couple of minutes, but as this works, we can actually see the responses coming in here, and we can see the different answers that the different models are generating. So I'll speed this up for a second, but come back when we have all the results to look at the data. So now that the evaluation is done here, we can actually look at the results. First of all, if we start from the simple string equality test, we can see that our new model is doing much better than the untrained version of Gemma free. So it actually got, that untrained version, unsurprisingly, got 0% of the results exactly accurately. Our new version got about 30%, slightly trailing the GPT-4.1 Mini and GPT-4.1. Looking at word error rate, we can again see the untrained version wasn't very good. Trained version is about, on this metric, about on par with GPT-4.1 Mini and slightly behind GPT-4.1. And then we can also look at things like performance metrics and see how the quickness or the speed of this model compares with other off-the-shelf models that we're comparing. And again, you can also kind of look here and see individual results to kind of get a better sense of how that model is performing. And then once you're ready to start deploying it, you can either head back to the model section, open the model and actually download the model files, or you can deploy them through a Datawizz endpoint and start running them in the cloud using the Datawizz platform. So hope this was helpful and can't wait to see what you train on the Datawizz platform.